Stiff Truth. Let's do this. Is it me? Is it me?
And 3.
You didn't say 2. Oh, we don't say 2.
We don't say 2 or 1. So 5, 4.
You don't mouth it either.
Bob, you're moving your mouth again.
Oh, I just can't get this right. Welcome to the Stiff Truth, everyone. I am Bob West. I am here with Scott Castlenova. We have a lot to go over today. A lot's been going on, just in general. So I'm excited for today's show. We have an amazing, really stiff, long drink today. And that's no euphemism. It really is a stiff, long drink. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'll tell you what, man, you're right. Action-packed week of things happening, and excited to get into our chat today. But first and foremost here, the star of the show, as per usual, is the stiff cocktail. And this is this may be the definition of a stiff cocktail when you really think about just this type of drink in general. We dabble in these a decent amount. And why not? There's a shitload of booze in them. But today, let's see it. Let's see it, Bob. What do you got? Oh, yeah, that looks good, right? Look at that. That looks radioactive, baby. And that's what it is. Today, kids, we have a radioactive iced tea. Bob, cheers to you.
I went with a lime for this one because I was out of lemons. So there you go.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to be creative or something like that. But turns out you were just ill prepared for the show. You know what? This is, I love these, dude. And they always have that very similar aftertaste because they all have the same basic, as I like to call them, the 4 horsemen of long drinks. So you've got half ounces of each, right? You've got your gin, you've got your tequila, you've got your rum, you've got your vodka. This one, though, of course, the radioactiveness of it here adds a little bit of a splash of some unusual stuff for a long drink. So you throw in also a half ounce of coconut rum, triple sec, and melon liqueur, aka Midori. Then you top that bitch off with about an ounce of sour mix. I went ahead and put that in a shaker and shake that shit up. You know, just the stuff outside of the cola. Poured that in a nice tall glass of ice, and then topped it off with a little bit of Coca-Cola. And you know what? With that Coca-Cola sitting on the top and like the radioactive secret of the ooze, Ninja Turtles 2 looking lime green, you know, kind of at the bottom, looks pretty fucking cool.
I love that throwback reference.
What do you think, though, buddy? Is this one you're gonna add to the catalog here, or you're gonna leave it? Where are you at with this bad boy?
So this is a fun drink. So obviously, as far as like the booze goes, this is a real winner, right? I mean, any long drink is going to get you feeling no pain in no time at all. So you do need to be careful with these drinks. They are pretty much all booze minus the Coke on top. So, but to be able to bust these out for, you know, your patrons, whoever you're hosting, I think is displays kind of the connoisseur level of your bartending, right? So I think this is a good one to keep in the back tab and pull out to have a little fun with it when you have people over. Like, hey, you guys want to try a drink I guarantee you've never had before?
Yeah. And it's got a fun name. And this is kind of one I think that would be fun to practice the speed of preparation. You know what I mean? Because there's so many different elements. Like I was saying before we started the show, this is the one where you kind of feel like a mad scientist when you're putting it together. Like you look like maybe you're going too far, like you're going past the point of no return. Like, what is he fucking doing over there? But I think it'd be cool to time yourself. If you can make one of these bad boys in, like, say, under a minute or under 30 seconds or something like that, that would be just that much more impressive for your clientele, so to speak. And, you know, when you say mix this up, you know, for your patrons, a lot of people out there, this literally could just be you impressing yourself. So maybe stand in front of a mirror or something like that if you don't have a lot of friends.
Hey, do you want to have a radioactive iced tea? You're like, You bet I do, buddy.
No. What happens? Like you're looking in the mirror. Hey, you want to have a radioactive iced tea? Who? Me? Yeah, you. You want an iced tea? It's like just get all super creepy with it. You're like, wow, he's talking to himself like he didn't hear himself. That's interesting. But yeah, definitely a good one, dude. I'm liking it. And I'm glad we're back here, Bob. I got to say it again. We did, and if anybody that listens to the show regularly will know that we somewhat got a little lazy. We dropped the ball, so to speak, on the research and preparation of a really unique and fun, just kind of unusual cocktail. And I'm glad we're back. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we went through a period of half-assery. I mean, we were mixing drinks like Nikki Haley was pushing global politics. Just barely trying, just enough to like say we did it.
You are absolutely right, dude. We were doing just good enough, but no more. We're back to impressing, razzle dazzle. That's how Bob and I do things here on the Stiff Truth.
And you know what? The diversity of the bar has reflected it in the last couple of months.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I told you this yesterday too. Going yesterday and doing some shopping, I would say if I had to like kind of give a percentage of my bill booze to like food and necessities, it was about 40-60 booze versus necessities, and it was a pretty hefty bill. But I had what we call like like the reboot of the bar, so to speak. I had to get all of the Four Horsemen. I had to get all that stuff. Went ahead and got myself some spiced rum too. It was nice. It was a fun experience because obviously getting handles of all that kind of stuff, I'm not going to have to get them for a little while anyways. I mean, I honestly don't drink as much as probably a lot of people think I do. But it is nice to kind of top everything off at the bar. You know what I mean? Because I literally can go back there and make whatever the fuck I want right now. It's a good feeling. It's very comforting to me. I feel at ease right now.
So, do you ever find yourself when you're about to go, specifically, not Costco, but when you're about to make the total run, and you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Do you ever find yourself looking over the bar, basically looking at the back order points for your liqueurs and seeing like if there's things that you don't need at all, but the bar needs it just in case the spirit moves you? You have to keep your bar stacked almost professionally at this point, to where you start getting like, all of a sudden you're like, well, I mean, I do need about $200 worth of liqueurs because I'm running low and I don't want to run out. If we decide to drink this certain drink one night and then we run out of the liqueur to make it halfway through, you don't want to find yourself in that spot, right?
No, you don't. In fact, what we were talking about earlier, and I almost like it was a glaring annoyance to me because I didn't have any what was it, blackberry liqueur or black raspberry liqueur, something a little bit odd, you know what I mean? I was like, how do I not have this behind the bar? Because it gets to be a little bit overwhelming too when you look over there and you see so many different types of fruit and melons and whatnots and the Kuipers, kind of brand back there. And when you don't have something that you would need for a drink, yeah, I do that. I do that pretty often. But you know what? I don't have to worry too much. I need to like build another shelf just for my mixers back there, just for my liqueur mixers and everything. So I think that's a good problem to have, if you ask me, when it comes to beefing up the bar.
Yeah, I've got a bar project that I'm about to embark on myself. So I'm pretty excited to get on that.
Well, and to give a stiffy, I don't know if we talked about it and shed light on this for the stiffies, but you had an incident at the house a while back. Yeah, so, there was an incident. I don't know if do you want to talk about it? Because I know therapy is now.
I hung a couple of shelves, and then one of them, I guess I didn't hit the stud. So there's a large crash on one of my cabinets that came down and broke a few bottles of booze, like 3, nothing major. Surprisingly, most of the booze was really resilient, but it was a pretty big catastrophe.
That's tough times, man.
The big crash, and we run back into the game room area, and we're like, what the fuck just happened back here? So that now I'm there's only one cabinet left, so I'm tearing it out. I'm going to put up new shelves. I'm going to design a new bar. I'm just going to totally revamp that, and who knows, I might end up doing the set of the show over there when it's complete.
I like trickling that in, my friend. Yeah, very nice. Well, Bob, it's okay. I know it was traumatic, PTSD all around for everybody in the house, not just you, but you, of course, kind of you're the captain that went down with the ship, so to speak. But you know what you're going to do? You're going to build that bar back better. And that's going to be the slogan around the house for a little while. And I like that about you.
BBB.
Bob.
So it started as there's just like, we're gonna build it better or whatever, but like, Biden has a study, so he's like, we're gonna build, and by the time he finally got it out, the stenographer was like, build back better, is that what he was trying to say?
Poor guy, but plenty of things to
you don't feel bad for Joey. He's one of the most powerful people in the world.
I think he's going to be just fine. You know what? We mentioned it here too. We got a lot to talk about here. Over the past week and a half or so, a lot of things have happened. We talked about this happening, of course, but football is over. Football is completely over. And I think as of today is the very last day of the Olympics too, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
I saw an ad just before the show about today being the last day. So I'm guessing tomorrow's probably the closing ceremonies.
I would imagine so. Hey, pretty nice games. You know what I mean? We're in there. We're in the running. We're not like way lagging behind, like at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to medal count. We don't have the most, that's for sure. But I want to say the last time I checked, and you can't quote me on this, Bob. I don't think I've tuned in since like Friday or so, but I want to say we were around like third or fourth in medal count. Can you do a quick check on that real quick?
Yeah. We are fourth. We have a total of 25, 8 gold, 10 silver, 7 bronze, and we are.
Who's leading the pack? Who's leading the pack?
No. Hold on. No, okay. we are.
This is nail biting right here. I don't know.
It looks like we're like 5th or 6th in total medals.
Jesus,
we are
Christ.
4th in gold medals.
Okay. All right. Well, not bad. Again, there's a decent amount of countries in there, so that's cool. I do want to chat a little bit though about the Super Bowl. Great game. I don't believe we really had the opportunity to chat about this on the show quite yet. Fantastic halftime show. But first and foremost here, Cooper Kupp walked away with the MVP of the Super Bowl. Bob, do you agree with that? Because I think that, I don't know, man. I think there maybe needs to be a little bit of a change on how they do this critiquing for the MVP. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much always just give it to the offensive player of the game on the winning team, right? I mean, Cooper Kupp did have 2 touchdowns, but his game was pretty pedestrian. I mean, he had 92 yards. He had 8 catches. Obviously, he did catch 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham on the other side went out. I never heard what happened to his knee, but late in the second quarter, he did something to his knee and he couldn't return. But he had 2 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown.
I honestly say he doesn't come out of the game. He's got better stats. I don't know if he would have had 2 touchdowns because he might have just pulled people off of Cooper Kupp. You know what I mean? That was sad. There was even tears in the man's eyes on the sideline when he knew he couldn't go back in. And I felt for him. I'll give you that.
If he doesn't come out of the game might not have been that close. Yeah. They might have just kind of slowly pulled away to like a 10 or 15 point lead because they were just that much better on offense. So with him on the field. So that in itself is one of the things, but Aaron Donald didn't even get a look, right? Von Miller didn't even get a look. Both of them had 2 sacks, in the game. But Aaron Donald not only had 2 sacks, but he had the game-ending sack on the last 4th and 1 play in midfield. It doesn't get any bigger than that. I thought that Aaron Donald was your MVP. I think that he has a lot of stats that don't show up on the stat book, right? He has a lot of influence on the game itself that aren't stats, right? Mm-hmm. Like how many times did he get triple teamed so that Von Miller could just be single covered on the edge and get those 2 sacks? Sure. It's just those little stats that shift that defense around because you have to prepare for him and handle this beast of a man. Probably, I'd say that he's in my opinion, he's the best football player overall in the NFL. Dude is a tank, right? But he didn't even get mentioned. It was just like an afterthought, and I I think it's a shame that defensive players don't get more run, especially in a league that has specifically hindered the defense to cater to the offense, to open up the offense, score more points, and get more fans.
Yeah, I agree, dude. And you know what's interesting about all this too is we talked about it. I think right as the game was ending, I was like, "Who's going to get MVP? Is it going to be? Is it going to be Stafford? Is it going to be Cup?" You called Cup right out of the gate. We both said Donald should have gotten it for sure. I mean, without him, I mean, the game just goes in a completely different direction. And you're absolutely right. I can even say that Jalen Ramsey probably got like easier coverage and maybe a little hustled Burrow a little bit more and got him shaken just because of the heat that, you know, Donald and Vaughn were able to put on him because of his presence and how many people had to take care of him. But they also, you know, what really trips me out is they don't even give the defense a look, but they say religiously that defense wins Super Bowls. They say that all the time, and it's fucking true. It's very true. It's hardly ever a team that just has the most high-powered offense with a so-so defense that actually can win the Super Bowl. That almost never, ever happens, right? It's always a team that has an incredibly strong defense. And I think that's interesting, and it kind of, it's a little bit of a bummer that they don't give defensive players more of a look. But I'll tell you what, I think hands down, he deserves it. I'm not upset with Cup having it. You know, again, I know the status quo. I know how things go down here. I think if anybody on the offense should be getting the look for MVP, it's probably Cup, especially with Beckham being pulled out of the game in the second quarter there. So it is what it is there. But one thing that's going to be interesting, and I won't beat this up too much here, but because we could just probably go for the full hour talking about this. They're like 22 million over cap for the offseason. Yeah, for the offseason.
So it's not a back-to-back team.
Well, and that's what I was just going to say. It's like, it'd be very interesting to see where they shave something and who they really try to keep. And I think Donald, if he doesn't want to leave, because it doesn't look like he does, he said that he's kind of wanted to stay there. But it'll be interesting to see if they go balls to the walls and like put all their chips on him. Because I honestly think that would be their smart move. But yeah, I'm interested to see how far they go down the road next season with a handicap team, because I think it's going to definitely be an abbreviated team. They just don't have the money for it.
Well, Aaron Donald may help them out.
Yeah,
in ways that most people don't realize. I think Aaron Donald's going to retire from football. He's got nothing left to prove. He's one of the best to ever play the game. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now he's got the ring. He's got 3 Defensive Player of the Years. You know, it goes on and on for Aaron Donald, right? And he had mentioned it to the press that if he wins the Super Bowl, he may hang it up. And he did win the Super Bowl, and he may hang it up. What did you think about the ending? You know, it always comes down to like that field goal and then overtime and then who gets the coin toss and all that, right? But this game ended on a 4th and 1 midfield with about a minute left. The Bengals had 1 or 2 timeouts still. Like, and they're in a good spot. They had a kicker that's money, right, to at least send it into overtime, and they needed about 10 yards to comfortably put that kicker in a good position. And the game ended on a defensive stop to march down the field. Game over. I thought that was great. You know,
I really did too.
And I know a lot of people we're so conditioned to that last second field goal and whoever gets the ball last, and it just sucks. But in this case, Aaron Donald, MVP, should have gotten it, but he ran right up the middle, busted up that offensive line. No one was going to deny him this game-ending opportunity, and it was just quick and painless. He just boom, done, game over, and he starts pointing to his ring finger. Like that was it, and it was almost like before that play, Aaron Donald's like, "Hold my beer."
Yeah,
we're getting this ring right now.
Well, and I think that's a great thing to point out too. And I'll point out that I think we got a little bit spoiled, and we got a little bit of some unrealistic ending to football games and got used to it in this round of the playoffs. You know what I mean? This year in the playoffs, there were too many games where they had these kind of Cinderella type potential endings. And this was just a straight up football game that literally, I think the will of the defense said, nah, fuck that. We're not going to OT. We're putting this little baby to bed right now. And I like that. That's kind of smacking all the fans back into reality. And again, Mikey, tough, condolences there about the Bengals, but They did a great job, dude. They did a great job. I honestly, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, and let's talk about this, I don't think you and I, when we were making predictions at the beginning of the season, had the Bengals going anywhere fabulous. You know what I mean? We weren't dogging them. That's for damn sure. But we definitely didn't have them in the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl, or even in the playoffs for that matter. So I'm interested to see where they go next year, because I think they're right back in the mix.
Well,
Right back in the mix.
I'm gonna say this: the Bengals' future is bright. You had mentioned that the Rams are way over cap, almost $22 million over cap to start next season. The Bengals are $43.5 million below.
Ooh, that puts them in a very nice position.
They've got they have the fourth largest effective cap space going into next season. Right up there with the Dolphins, the Jags, the Chargers, and then the Bengals. Then it's the Jets, right? So like they have the cap space of like kind of crappy teams, right? But
that's
good.
They're
definitely not crappy. So the future is really bright for the Bengals. They can make whatever moves that they want to make another run next year. Well, Mikey got that to look forward to.
And you know what? He already knows it too, but they can use all that money and just offensive line, my friend. I think they have a little bit stronger of an offensive line. I think Burrows has even a better season at the helm there. So that should be interesting. Well, the other thing that was just phenomenal, and we talked about this last week, that halftime show, man. I know there's been a lot of buzz, negative and positive, about the halftime show. I literally, and we talked, Prince maybe is the contender. I think the only other contender in my recent lifetime where I've even given two shits, one shit, a half of shit, dude, maybe a shart, not even a shit, just like a little bit of a fucking fart shit about the halftime show. Usually it sucks. Usually it's some played out has been kind of people that are trying to revive their career, or it's like the flavor of the month kind of band or something like that. And man, with Dr. Dre and Eminem especially, that was fucking phenomenal, dude. I was out of my seat, fucking clapping, just loving it, screaming, having a great time. However, I thought it was pretty interesting, the blowback and the complaints that I've heard over the past week or so on social media about this. Have you seen this, man? It's been nuts.
I have, and I know that I've seen a lot about Eminem kneeling after his first song that he did, right? And the interesting thing about that is during the halftime performance, I didn't even notice it or consider it like he was making a statement or anything. Honestly, I just thought he was kneeling to like go away. The spotlight went off of him. It went on to Dr. Dre, and like the next rapper up kind of continued the show. I just thought that was his creative way of kind of, and my piece is done right now, right?
Yeah,
and I didn't
stepping out.
Yeah. I didn't even like put two and two together that always kneeling, maybe he's doing, maybe he's protesting or something. I don't know, maybe that's because that was like 2 years ago. I don't know. I didn't notice it though when I was watching the show, but I'm a hardcore like hip-hop fan, and like that's my shit. And a lot of us between 30 and 50, that's our shit right there. So I loved them throwing in 50 Cent. Like he wasn't even announced, like no one knew about that. He wasn't in any of the ads, and all of a sudden, we're up in the club. Oh, that was awesome.
Dude, took me right back to 2003, 2004. You know what I mean? God damn, that song, dude, that's one of the strongest songs on radio play. And yes, it got a little annoying at that time with how much it was playing, but it was the only rap song that I can remember that was on all the hip hop R&B stations and popular music stations. And sometimes even the rock stations had that song. Like, dude, it was like all encompassing around the clock from around, I want to say 2003 to 2006. That song was on the radio like hundreds of millions of times across the globe. It was pretty intense. But yeah, dude, even that too. I saw so much shit talking shit about 50 Cent's weight too, because let's face it, dude, the guy's 20 something years older than he was when he was in the spotlight. That he went from being probably in his early to mid 20s to his like, early 50s or something like that. And I saw so many people talking shit, which some of it was kind of funny. Like, hey, 50 Cent looks more like $1.25 now. I was like, okay, that's kind of clever. Not so much, but at the same time, So many people smearing him. But yeah, the kneeling thing, I honestly, like you, dude, I didn't even see it happen. And honestly, he could have been tying his fucking shoe for all I care. You know what I mean? I don't give any shits. The interesting thing though, and I know you saw the commonality here too. I was like, who are all these fucking people complaining about the halftime show? Coming out of the woodwork. I saw some people, I regretfully say, some family members on Facebook too, older folks, mind you, too. But it's like, worst fucking halftime show ever, garbage. I'm like, what are they so mad about? Are they mad that there was a bunch of African American people on the television during like prime time, probably the biggest prime time slot in the around for the year, right?
100 million people. That's like
Yeah.
MASH finale numbers.
Wow. Now all the white people love that. They're like, now MASH, that was a fucking good show. Or were they upset that it was it hip hop? See, I was thinking about this because there's been a decent amount of quote unquote hip hop or popular pop music on the halftime show. So I was like, that can't be it. But this is the only time that it's been like old school gangster rap type hip hop for a decent amount of it. Maybe not Mary J. Blige, but definitely Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Even Eminem is kind of managed to get himself a little bit more in the mainstream.
Maybe next year they'll bring all the surviving members of Wu-Tang.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be awesome halftime show?
Hey, RIP. I like how you said surviving members. There's a decent amount of those guys that are not alive anymore. Hey, PSA, kids, don't do too many drugs and drink too much because you won't make it past 45, 50 years old. But yeah, but I think that's the thing, Bob. I think it's a combination because there were so many what appeared to be over 50 white people that were enraged about the halftime show. They just couldn't have it. It seemed like a slap in the face to them too. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, we're fucking kneeling for black people, getting beat up by cops a couple years ago. Now we've got gangsters on the halftime show. I'm done with the NFL. This is garbage. You know what I mean? Like, what's really going on here? I thought it was pretty sad, but I also thought it was pretty goddamn funny because historically, Bob, these really shouldn't be the people that are complaining, especially vocally. Like pushing this out in the public realm, in the social media realm. But here we are now. Apparently, old, racist, conservative white people now need they feel the need to get out and start whining about shit, which to me is kind of interesting. Don't you think so?
How the snowflake shoe has been slipped onto the other foot.
And you know what, Bob? It's a perfect fit.
You know, I noticed this trend happening a couple years ago. And it was kind of near the end of the Trump presidency, like the last year of his term. And I started noticing that like a lot of the conservatives, were, I don't know, I guess kind of used to getting their way for a few years, right? And getting really comfortable with, I don't know, displaying the alt-right or far-right conservative ideology on social media and this and that, like not having any filter or self-restraint, right?
So they were kind of like they turned into kind of like the rich like girl on Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel you.
What is that?
I can't remember her name. I just like the little spoiled brat shit kid that has them unwrap. Yeah, that has them unwrap like a million fucking Wonka bars looking for the golden ticket at the beginning. Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure I get a mental picture. I'm more of a visual guy, Bob, but please proceed.
So I just started seeing more about, the conservative viewpoints, religion, abortion, just kind of all of these topics getting really pushed more into the mainstream, as far as like, well, we need more religion in school. And I'm like, well, isn't that what Bible school's for? It just
it was like they have a whole like sect of that called like private school.
Yeah, I don't want to pay for that. But it's even gone as far as like the critical race theory, right? That you hear all the time. Yeah, I go to Anderson. You've been to Anderson. That's where you got your your esteemed degree from. And when there is a class at UNM that's critical race theory. It's an elective, and you can take it if you're majoring in some sort of philosophy classes or political, majors or whatever. But it's an elective and you pay for it, right? It's higher learning. You're paying for that. I've never seen any sort of public school offering critical race theory, especially as like a required class. I might have ran across an elective at some schools here and there in more progressive areas, but I don't know. It's just I'm hearing like To Kill a Mockingbird. It got banned in like was it Alabama or Texas or something like that, and like really like classic Americana literature there. It's been good for like 100 years, but now all of a sudden like, oh, it's just that's not wide enough for us. I don't know. I don't get it. But like who really gives a shit about books? I don't understand at what point exactly, but it seems to have started like 3 years ago when the conservative folks that would call the libtard quote people snowflakes and make fun of them for their soy sugar-free vanilla lattes and their tree hugging and their pleather shoes so they don't murder cows and what have you, right? And they snowflake this, snowflake that. But then now I feel like the shoe really has fully gone to the other foot to where they've gone past that point to where now they're starting to nitpick on these weird cultural things that they don't agree with. And it's just they're bringing these first world problems, and it's laughable in a way that the ultra left liberals were laughable when they were the snowflakes. And don't get me wrong, they still are. Let's not say that those guys have disappeared. They're still there. I'm just saying that there's a new class of snowflake that's on the other side of the spectrum now. So there's snowflakes on both sides.
I think it's well said too. I mean, I think they're definitely still alive and well on the liberal side. That's for damn sure. They haven't gone anywhere, and they make sure everybody knows that. But it is a very interesting, kind of scenario of the pot calling the kettle black. It's very ironic, in the sense that the conservatives are the one that are supposed to like have hard, thick skin, let shit fucking just slide right off, not concern them. I mean, shit, they use bar soap still. They don't got time for that lathered up body wash and fucking loofah. You know what I mean? Exactly, right. But I'm just saying, like, again, they're supposed to be the ones that are striking matches off their fucking cheeks and shit, and just not concerning themselves with the little nitpicky kind of dumb shit. That was kind of the whole reason of calling the liberals snowflakes, because they were upset and bitching and whining about everything that they didn't like, right? And
it's a PC way to call them pussies, right?
Exactly. Kind of a let's go Brandon way of calling them pussies. You know what I mean? Instead of saying fuck the president, they're just like, let's go Brandon. Hey, all right.
100%.
Right? Same fucking thing, dude. But it is so interesting now that there is just as many or more right now. I'm not sure where the scale actually is. I haven't done a analysis on it, but I have noticed more and more and more. You can't do that anymore. If you're one of the people, while you're in the middle of bitching about something like there's too many black people on TV and I don't like the rap music coming out of the television right now when the Super Bowl's on, you can't follow that up with these liberal snowflakes. That makes no sense. In fact, somebody should just go ahead and put a big fat dick in your mouth if that's what you're going to try to say after that, because my goodness, just ironic as fuck where we're at right now. And it makes sense though. I think there's overall, Bob, I think there's just there's a bigger acceptance on both sides of the aisles of being a pussy. That's where we're at right now. You know what I mean? So everybody feels as soon as something goes against the grain of their way of thinking, their way of life, now it is not only okay, it's welcome and encouraged by everybody in their tribe to get up and throw a fucking hissy fit about it. It is what it is, but here we are.
Well, a couple of things. I'm at the bottom of this drink, and that is dank. So just so you know, it doesn't call to be stirred, so the bottom is pretty dank. No, and this is probably a symptom of another show that we've talked about with kind of the systemic problem of social media in our country, right? I think that people see these loud people on Facebook, these loud people. They even get news coverage, and then they go viral on BuzzFeed or whatever the fuck, right? Because they have a protest, and then they send in the pictures where it looks like a lot of people are there, but really it's like 60 people, you know. So I hear it all the time from my friends and family about, well, there's just the movement, there's a lot more alt-right conservatives and like Antifa, far left liberals, and it's just like, no. There's a very small percentage of people that are actually holding those positions. They're just really fucking loud, and they have a platform to share information in the same feeds where us normal folks live. So it seems like they're actually bigger than they are by far. And so I think what you have here is you have them creeping into the ideology of the Democratic and Republican parties, where they then are influenced by that too, because they think they have a bigger footprint on the social media than they actually do. So then they cater them. So then it actually does pull the center of both parties in different directions. Because, I mean, if Joe Biden was a president in the 80s, he'd be a Republican. I mean, that's just kind of where he's at, right? But by today's lefty standards, not at all. And some people like, he's way too conservative. And I'm like, well, you know, he's actually like agreed with Bernie on a lot of shit and like changed his politics a lot to cater to these liberals. And on the other side, H.W. Bush was a very, very moderate Republican, but he has this reputation, especially because of his son, of like being hard ass Texans. But really, they're from Connecticut, guys. Let's slow our fucking roll,
hey,
right?
They make all their money in Texas. You know what I mean? That's all.
so as does everyone. So I think that some of the problem is just the influence that these left and rights have, and then all the bitching and whining and complaining. Like, we should embrace someone having a fucking retarded ass take on something. Like, why we have listeners. Like, we should embrace this ideology, because that's what makes America great, right? If you lose that and you bitch at everything and you try to censor everything and you try to ban everything, that's actually taking us far away from where we want to be, either to the socialist side or to the fascist side. You want to have that free flow of information and ideologies, and you just try to keep your wits about you and not get in fistfights over it, and swallow that information when someone says it and you think it's ridiculous. But hey, damn it, people died so that they could say it.
It is really interesting. I'm sitting here thinking, and we've talked about this before too. You're absolutely right, though. That was a great perspective there on literally the amplified voices of the few makes it seem like you got like an entire platoon behind you of just crazy batshit fucking people, extreme ideology on both the right and the left, which gives you kind of the idea that, like, hey, there's so many people with me right here. I'm in such a big company right now. It makes sense for me to get out here and be vocal about this, because this is what's going on right now. But what's crazy is, before we had social media, especially, let's just take the halftime show in general, right? Just again, I like to use that as an example. If we had this kind of halftime show before social media, or if there was no social media right now, we wouldn't know that all these people were upset about it. We just wouldn't know, right? Because all of what we know about feedback from the halftime show would be filtered through the news sources, and that's it. There wouldn't be people, maybe if you talk to your neighbor or something like that, the old racist fucking Vietnam vet or something, maybe he would tell you how much he didn't like the halftime show, but it would probably end at that. And so would all these other, opinions that are so vocal, or they're so loud right now. A lot of these extreme opinions. So that is interesting. Really have this kind of issue with certain kind of social things happening, or just certain public things or events happening, to where we got this kind of feedback from the public. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. I think it's a blessing and a curse. It's great to have that free flow of information at your fingertips and be able to look anything up whenever you want, and to be able to keep in contact with somebody. Hey, play Mortal Kombat with your friend in Vietnam, right? But
right.
But the downside of this is literally that you have too much information that at the end of the day doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? And it's hard to filter what matters and what doesn't matter, what's true and what's not true, when you're constantly being bombarded by it, right? And when every voice has the same amount of amplitude and access of channels of communication, it's really hard to distinguish what you should listen to and what you shouldn't. And I think maybe that's the reason why people get so bent out of shape when they see shit on social media now, is because they're almost being forced to take it seriously to a large degree because of how the information is coming at them. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I think there's kind of 2 points to take away from that. For me, is it's not just politics. This confirmation bias, echo chamber, reverberation that happens, in these groups, right? Because they all think, well, look, see, everyone agrees with me. Well, yeah, everyone that's looking to agree with you is agreeing with you.
Right? Everybody that joined this platform with the same views preemptively agrees with you. You're right. Like, yeah, great. Yeah, I'm glad that you have confirmation.
I think that whole that politics has started to cater to these perceived louder voices, right? I also think that's part of the problem that's been going on with the media. That the conservative and liberal news has also gotten more conservative and more liberal because of the very same thing. They're trying to cater their audience, and they're trying to not find new people, but keep the people that they have and cater to them. And again, I think they're catering to those loud voices on the fringe. And on the other side of the other thing that I was thinking about that kind of came from that is, well, I guess I forgot. I had 2 points. I did have 2 points.
Hey, it's okay. Let me interrupt you right there, maybe while you get it back. But I was just going to let you know here as I finish this drink too. This one just, kind of kicked me in the boo-boo a little bit here. I've just had, again, it is the afternoon here on a Sunday or what have you. We're not doing an AM show or anything like that. But after one, very sneakily too, you know what I mean? It just kind of, I finished it. I was like, yeah, that was nothing. And as I sit here, I'm like, I'm realizing I got a pretty nice buzz going on here from this one drink. Radioactive Iced Tea, folks. No bullshit. Ain't your mama's iced tea, but get out there and throw one back. But be careful. Maybe just 2. Maybe stop at 2. I don't know. But it's a good one.
Make sure that there's a stash of money reserved for the Uber driver. Okay?
Absolutely.
Let's be responsible with these.
Well, and you brought up you made me think of something else too, Bob. And again, I hate when I lose a thought, but I'm sure you'll get it back. Conveniently, it might be after the show, but that's okay. Tune in next week, folks, for Bob's other point. And thank you. Good night. But no, the other thing I was thinking too is, going back to the snowflake thing and people feeling warranted and validated, right? To be so vocal about these extreme views. The other thing, again, about social media and just the internet and the amount of mass communication we have right now is, don't you think to a certain respect that the new wave of communication and the internet in general has birthed these snowflakes, so to speak? Because why would you speak up and be vocal if you knew that only your small circle geographically of people, or people you are canvassing if you're walking around, those are the only people that are going to hear you, right? And if there wasn't any written kind of documentation kind of translated through this communication like you can on Facebook or Twitter, then people know it doesn't last very long. It's kind of a fleeting thing, right? So I think that people have the understanding, and they realize, hey, when I do say something, people have to listen to me, and the respect is again, it's going to be pushed in front of their face. It's going to be broadcasted all over the world, and I think that gives people this illusion of just having a bigger voice, if that makes sense, right? So I think, again, you take away this means of communication here and being able to broadcast your opinion to the entire world, and you have less people that are motivated to say anything because they know it's going to fall on deaf ears, or only a few people, right? So that was another interesting thing I'm thinking about here is, our modern age of communication in some way, shape, or form gave birth to the whining political pussy.
No, I get that. And also on the same side of the coin is you get the most extreme of these groups, because it's whoever has the most extreme or radical view that goes viral within these groups, and their message gets pushed out the most, right? If you just have a mild take in these groups that everyone agrees with, no one's going to care. But if you have a radical view, like I heard today on TikTok, this doctor was making fun of this guy because he said, You know, I just heard that if you had the COVID vaccine, you need to go get tested for AIDS.
Well, that makes sense.
So, I mean,
Joke's on him. I already have AIDS.
that's what I'm saying. Like really, like how radical does that have to be for people for that to rise to the top of the other messages from where that came from? You know, so I think there's something to that. I think the social media and the modern day social media, especially in these groups that are existing, you start getting the most radical of the radical. And then that's actually becoming the norm because that's the message that starts getting pushed around. Again, it just the tide keeps pushing people farther right and farther left. And you know, where does it end? I mean, I just don't realistically, like I wish I had the foresight and the intelligence to unpack all of this and tell you if we kept down this path, this is what's going to happen socially in America. I don't know. I just know that it's probably not a great spot.
Well, you say that, Bob, but that wouldn't be the sunshines and rainbow kind of Bobby I know here. You know what I mean? So what I would like to think, Bob, is maybe, just maybe, that the only way to go when you go so far apart is eventually you have to meet again, right? Let's think about this as a, you know, as something that's definitely not like the earth, something that's kind of like a globe, like circular, right? So let's just take that because we all know it's flat. But if you go so far apart, you know, from each other, eventually don't you have to meet again? So let's be optimistic about it, Bob. Maybe this is just a temporary thing.
There is such a thing as linear equations, and you don't always have to meet.
Damn it, Bob. Damn it.
You can just keep going.
Well, you know, but that's only if you believe in everything being flat, right? Right.
So luckily, I don't even believe in math. So
and again, you were told multiple times there'd be no fucking math here, and we're treading a little bit in that arena, and we just need to pump the brakes on that bullshit right now.
We're gonna have to get Andrew Yang in here to explain some of this shit.
He's a good friend of the show, so he'll probably be on next week's show, everybody. So tune in for a famous political figure.
Well, that's just shameless. So, well, what a fun show. I mean, I really think that we're about out of time.
Yeah, but yeah, I think so. I think
hey,
that's
hey,
about
hey,
it.
real quick.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? There were some good ones.
Okay, I got a couple here, dude. I got a couple. 3 actually that I'll mention here, just real quick. There was one about "Don't Be Like Larry David." I thought that was fantastic. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, yeah. Huge Curb Your Enthusiasm fan. So that was fun. The Austin Powers commercial was also phenomenal because they literally had everybody back for that one. And I honestly, after that commercial, I was like, I looked at Jamie, I was like, they need to make another fucking Austin Powers. It'd be fucking, it would be great, dude. I'd totally get down. I go see it in the theaters, even if it was the same recycled jokes from the first 3 movies. I don't even care. Mike Myers is a god. And then beyond that, because of the nostalgia of it, and it's not even like really old school nostalgia, I believe it was a Chevy commercial that started off just like The Sopranos and had the 2 kids that played the Tony Soprano's kids in it. Yeah. I thought that was pretty badass because it started with like him driving an
electric Silverado commercial.
Yes, that was really good because you had like Meadow Soprano. I can't remember her name in real life, and then the guy that played his son or whatever that kind of still looks like the same kid. Like he doesn't look like he grew up much. He's kind of like a Ralph Macchio kind of guy. You know what I mean? Looking like an eternal kid or whatever. But those are great. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing a few here and there that were phenomenal, but those stood out to me as ones I remember. What about you?
I really liked the Cable Guy commercial.
Oh, dude, I totally forgot about that.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yes. I agree.
Jim Carrey looked great. It might have been a little bit of makeup and prosthetics to young him up a little bit, but he looked great. Man, he could do another Cable Guy movie again. That would be epic.
Dude, him, Matthew Broderick, and Leslie Mann still looking good. You know what I mean? So I think that's doable too. I think we need some real mid 90s reboots. You know what I mean? Austin Powers and Cable Guy. I'm with that.
I loved the Austin Powers one. There was also one with what's her name? The girl from Pitch Perfect.
Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick. Yeah. So Anna
Okay.
Kendrick did this commercial. And it was like she was like she's playing with kids in a Barbie house, whatever. And she was like being a realtor. And they're talking about space and
Oh.
all this. And then she's like, oh, we got a fixer upper over here. Right. And it's like He-Man's castle. And he's like, oh, the neighbors aren't so good. Right. And it was like Skeletor. I thought that was pretty cool, pretty clever. Not a hugely popular one, and it wasn't. I don't think it was on during halftime, so I don't know if everyone caught that one, but I thought overall the commercials are pretty good. Some of them they'd already aired a couple of times if you'd been paying attention to like higher rating events, like some of the football games in the playoffs. You saw a couple of the commercials already. I think during some of the NBA games, I saw a commercial or two too. So there's that, but overall pretty good. I mean, Super Bowl's the only time where I'm like, well, I got to get a beer. Well, hold on. Well, let me wait till the commercial breaks over.
Dude, it's almost like you can't take a piss like once it starts, man, because let's be honest here, for spectators and fans of football or not, you know what I mean? Like the commercials, dude, people are shelling out like, what is it? I was listening to something recently. 6 million a spot now is you for like a 30 minutes or 30-second spot is like the going rate right now. It went up, this year, which is interesting, but that's when they pull out all the stops, baby. All the big boys out there that got those marketing dollars, they really throw a lot into that kind of advertising. So it's the cream of the crop. So it's hard to look away for a good few hours from the TV.
Well, we'll have to pour one out for the homies because there's not another NFL game until July for preseason, and sad times. I am picking up the basketball though. I did try a week of the basketball NBA pass to see what I thought. I fucking loved that. So on YouTube TV, little coin here from YouTube. You could just record everything because you have a limited DVR for 2 years, right? So it records it all for 2 years, and then so I could just record every NBA game ever. And if I just want to and if I just gonna go watch it, it's like, oh, I want to go watch the Sixers and the Lakers. I mean, not in real time, but whenever I get a minute, with life and school and all this work, you like how that was last, right? So I do think my trial ended, but I do think I'm gonna go ahead and scoop that up. So I'm gonna try to enjoy the NBA as much as I can because I do. It is my second favorite sport. I love the NBA, and it's actually a pretty close second. So
yeah, I agree. I think I'm in the same boat, especially as a spectator, as somebody watching something on TV. NBA is right there. I will tell you this: I do need to catch up, so to speak, on who's who and what's what in college basketball, because right around the corner here we got March Madness, and that's honestly when I really like to get down watching that because there's just a lot of schools and a lot of games earlier in the year. It's hard to keep up.
Let's get our brackets going.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And then right after March Madness, that's when the NBA starts getting really, really interesting too, because then you start having the playoffs coming up in May and stuff. And yeah, so
just a recent hit. I know we're out of time, but I've recently discovered that I have a condition. So I have a form of OCD.
I'm not surprised.
who would have thought, right? I know I was probably somewhere on the spectrum, but it looks like I validated the OCD. So I suffer from a behavioral condition known as dermatillomania. Right?
It sounds pretty fucking rough.
And this isn't even a joke, right? This isn't even a joke.
Well, it will be now.
I fucking constantly pick skin on my fingers, like right there, like you can see. I constantly pick my finger.
You nasty son of a bitch.
Constantly look for little hangers of skin on my lip and bite them off, sometimes to the point of bleeding, and I fuck myself up sometimes, and I just figured, it's just how I handle my nerves. It's the nervous tick. Right. I got to work on it or whatever. But come to find out, Jess actually sent me some information on it. She ran across it, and I was just like, holy shit, it's a form of OCD. So there we go. Laying it all out there. Personal medical history. Looks like I have a form of OCD. Dermatillomania. Look it up. That's what I suffer from. It's been going on for about 20 years.
Wow. I mean, what a bomb to drop on everybody at the end of the show here. That's all I got to say. But hopefully you're going to be okay. And let me tell you this, as maybe it'll give you a little bit some comfort here. I've never noticed. I've never noticed I mean, specifically,
I
I've never
hide
noticed
it.
your.
I hide it pretty well.
Yeah, well, I've never
I'm-
noticed like your lips bleeding constantly because you're biting them off or anything like that. So hopefully it's something that you're going to be able to get under control just mentally, because I think physically you do a good job of hiding it. And that, Stiffies, that's really what it's all about. When you have a condition, when you have a problem, just hide it, just bury it, push it down, down, just let it build up until eventually you blow your top.
yeah,
And freak
just
out.
pretend that you don't have a problem until someone catches you.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
American way.
And when they catch you, kill them and put them in the wood chipper or something like that.
Just deny, and seek representation. You'll be okay.
I'm gonna go dig Johnny Cochran's ass up. Fucking, oh my goodness. Well, Bob, thank you for sharing that with everybody. Seriously, that is a stiff truth. That's the truth right there. And that's what we do here. So I appreciate that. But guys, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us again. We've had a blast here. Tune in next week where we're going to have another action-packed show. A lot of shit we're going to be talking about here. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about because I actually want you to tune in and figure it out for yourself. But
and because
then,
you don't know yet.
Man, well, thanks for busting that. Thanks for busting that zit for me. But until then, guys, check us out on the podcast platforms. Rate us, like, and subscribe on the YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys again soon.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to leave a review, fuckers. See
there
ya.
you go.